Welcome to the Scott Townsend Show, brought to you by Dietzo Man Productions.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for joining the Scott Townsend Show. And today I have with me a person I've wanted to have on for a long time, and we've finally snagged her. She's the former Supreme Commander, which I love the Star Wars reference there. And she's now currently the COO of Automation-X. Welcome to the show, Katie Davis. Katie, how's it going?
Thank you, Scott. I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. And I am recording. So I can't believe I did that. So for those of you all listening, watching, I forgot to hit the record button. And I know I'm a big idiot. So anyway.
Not at all.
So Katie was nervous about what she was going to do. And here I am, the one screwing everything up. So there, that should make you feel better, I guess. I don't know. Well, I invited you on, Katie. You know, you're coming to us from Grand Junction, Colorado, and desert, which I didn't know was a desert there. And so you're in the oil and gas business, measurement automation. We've known each other for quite a while now, and I was just thinking about our backgrounds. I would do events for ABB and trade shows and produce conferences. And Katie, you were always there, either at the trade show or, helping host, support the conferences. And it was just like a big traveling road show. It seems like we would just see each other from month to month, hey, we'll see you next month in Houston, ASGMT or Isham or the MAC conference, whatever, And it really became a family feel. It was like a reunion almost every time everybody got together. So you guys were always good to us, always super good to me, always super nice. And I always appreciated that. You and I have talked off and on about, someday we need to do a podcast together, And so the other day I saw this post that you, and I'm going to quit talking here in just a minute, but I saw this post that you sent out and totally caught me by surprise, as I'm sure it did everybody. And it said, I have made a very difficult decision to transition from Automation-X. I'm going to miss the amazing people here. So many great memories of hard work and laughter along the way. And I know that's true because there was a lot of times after trade shows or conferences, when everybody would break and we would tell jokes and laugh and, that's so true. My hope is that I made some positive contributions over the last 8 years. The final date is yet to be determined, but I will let everyone know when finalized. So I thought I would invite you on the show to set the record straight and give you, instead of writing out a big long post, you can just say what you want to say.
Yeah, it took a lot of people by surprise. It really did. And it's been such a humbling experience to get all the positive messages from both people within the organization and outside of the organization. And reaching COO status was something that I'd worked on very hard for 20 years. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, with the outreach that I received from others it was a great moment for me because in anything that I took on, I wanted to have a positive impact on people's lives, whether it's with manufacturers or whether it's with our own team. Right. And the messages that I received was incredible about the changes that the positive changes I did in their lives and what I did to make things better. And that was a defining moment in my career. And it's just been extremely humbling. And the reason why I'm leaving, it's nothing negative against Automation-X at all. You always have politics within an organization, that's a given. But when you have a family business, such as mine, there's always which I'm in, there's always another challenge to it. And as I became COO and I started progressing within the organization, I found myself working very long hours, 15, 16-hour days, which I loved. I love everything about the industry. I love customers, manufacturers. I love finding solutions. I love learning about technology. I love everything about it. And so I had no problems diving in and spending 15, 16 hours a day. I had no problems giving up my weekends. I had no problems traveling. What I came to the realization of, especially after the COVID era, which hit a lot of companies really hard last year, and a lot of time spent to get us through that challenging time, early this year, as we started making changes within the organization, I was able to have a little bit more free time. And I realized that I didn't have the right balance in my life. Not that hard work is a bad thing, but when you take it to the extreme, it could have ramifications with your identity. Your identity tends to be wrapped up into work. You lose your relationships with your friends, with your family, with your kids. And so as I started to spend a little more time, so instead of working these long hours, my hours became 8 or 9 hours a day. And it allowed me to...
You're like, gee, what's that like?
Yeah, which is weird because it feels like it's a part-time job now. When you're used to working so much, you feel like 8 to 9 hours is a part-time job. Yeah. So I think the hardest reality I came to was that as I started spending more time with my kids, I realized that I was a stranger to them and they were a stranger to me.
Yeah.
And that kind of really struck home with me, that I needed to find balance. And then as I started moving, people that don't know me, if I could make money doing landscaping and gardening, I would do that a full-time job. But it allowed me to join and do my hobbies, join a gardening club, as nerdy as that sounds, but
no,
I joined that. I had a girlfriend text me and she said, we should go to the movie sometime. Well, I haven't been to a movie with a friend in 6-7 years. So having, which I know sounds sad, but
it's a lot of us.
It allowed me to realize, yeah, it is. It's that balance is really important. And I think that sometimes, at least when I started having these private message conversations with others, they were in the same position as me, where they're traveling all the time and they're losing touch with family and friends and another side of them outside of work. And so I hope that this inspires others to find that balance. And I'm a big believer in hard work. And so when I refer to balancing, I'm talking about taking it to the extreme like I was doing.
I totally know where you're coming from. A long time ago, my son, he's 27 now, but back when he was, when kids learn how to ride bikes, 6, 7, I don't know. So one day I can't, it was a Saturday and I was like you, I was working, burning the candle at both ends, really trying to make a difference, and bam, 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 young, energetic, trying to make a dent in the world. So I was Saturday afternoon, there was Matthew and a neighbor kid, and the neighbor kid was younger than Matthew, and they were on the sidewalk with their bikes, and the neighbor kid got on his bike and started riding down the sidewalk, and then Matthew was pushing his bike as fast as he could to keep up with the neighbor kid. And I turned around to my wife and I said, why isn't he riding his bike? Why is he pushing it? And my wife looked at me, she said, probably because, and she's looking at me really hard, probably because no one's taught him how to ride a bike. And I was like, that's so sad, So right then and there, I just went back to the office. I told, hey guys, you know what? I'm spending way too much time here. I'm not coming in on weekends as much as I used to, and I'm not staying past, and they all understood, it's just stuff. It's this kind of stuff that we put on ourselves, thinking that, or at least me, I had to do this kind of stuff. And when everybody around me was like, no, that's fine, So it was way out of whack, and I had to balance that, And so, lesson learned. I'll never forget that. And I always share it with people who are talking about work-life balance. So what's next? Can you say, or do you want to say, or what's, I'm sure that's a big question a lot of people are asking is, so what are you doing now? Or what's next?
So right now, I'm actually doing something that has been on my bucket list for a very long time, and that is to get my real estate license. So I've been taking classes in the evening and on the weekends to get my broker's license. And honestly, sometimes you just have to do things in faith and see where that road leads. I know some of the people I've talked to, they think I'm a little crazy, but sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and see where the road takes you. I've had a lot of offers to stay in oil and gas and
no doubt.
I'm just trying to figure out what that road is going to look like. I am looking to explore the real estate world and seeing where that may take me.
So for those that are watching or listening and don't know, the rare person that doesn't know the industry we're talking about, what did you do? What was your business all about?
We are specifically focused in upstream and midstream oil and gas with automation and measurement. So anything related to an automation tech foreman or measurement tech foreman, that's what we specialize in, creating a group of products and services to help make their lives a little better at work.
So you guys have offices not only in is it Midland, but you have you're through the Midwest and even on the East Coast, right?
We are, yes.
I'll say this sentence, and from a business perspective, I'll say this sentence and you fill in the blank. I'll never do that again. What would that be?
That's a great question, Scott. Might take me a minute to think about that.
A lot of CEOs. Go ahead.
I will never do extreme working again.
But a lot of times you don't hear them talking about what they would do different, or some of their failures that help them grow, that would help others grow. And so I was just wondering, I'll never do that again. What was that near miss, or what was that one thing that you really learned a lot from? So there you go.
Yeah, that I feel like is my failure, not having enough balance.
What's the one thing you wish when you're looking at across the board in your manufacturers, and you could pull them all into one room? What's the one thing you wish they would improve upon? What's the one thing that you guys have conversations about, and you wish they would or could change one thing?
I've always been a believer in listening to the market, and I always, and I'm sure you've probably heard me say this, Scott, but I believe in competition. I believe competition makes manufacturers better, makes representatives better, and provides a better experience for the customers. And so that's probably if I were to get a group of manufacturers into one room, I would have that same conversation about the importance of competition and the importance of allowing your market to be served by the best person that customer sees fit to serve them. And that at the end of the day, it makes everybody better.
Agreed. And there's competition where you're up against someone else, but there's also that competition where you're competing against yourself. When you're always trying to improve what you're doing versus against somebody else.
I think that's very true. I think that any good leader of an organization should always reflect on themselves and understand where their weaknesses and their strengths are and create a team that's going to complement them. Where their weaknesses are, someone else has strengths, and not to be afraid of it, but to embrace it, because in the end, it creates such a powerful force in all aspects of the organization.
Where do you see the measurement and automation industry headed in the next 5 years?
You know, it's already starting to happen. When COVID hit last year, the movement into the virtual reality became such a force, and customer buying habits are changing, where virtual is becoming the new reality, where you can order online, have it shipped to you, much similar to what you have in your personal life with Amazon. I see it moving that way into the oil and gas industry, where meetings such as what we're having now. So I believe virtual is going to be a significant player.
You know, we all found out really fast. We all got a crash course in Zoom and working from home, and sales guys, sales ladies found out that they could still make sales calls, but they didn't necessarily have to be in cars, and go visit. But there may be other smarter ways to do it. Maybe they were always smarter ways. We just found out the hard way,
Well, we get used to routine. This is
Right.
what we know. And when that reality changed, we had to change quickly with it. And so I believe the businesses that are going to make it in the future are the ones that are going to embrace a more virtual experience.
Thank you for joining the Scott Townsend Show. We'll be back right after this.
Pop's Daylight Donuts, man, they've got the best tasting donuts, sausage wraps, pastries in Northeast Oklahoma. And also, if you'll tell the staff there, hey, Scott Townsend said to give me a large spicy pig, they'll give you a free large spicy sausage wrap. But you have to tell them Scott Townsend sent you. So tell them, hey, Scott Townsend told me to tell you to give me a large spicy pig. So there's the offer. There's the call to action. So go to Pop's Daylight Donuts. Say hi to Mark for me. And go to Pop's Daylight Donuts and get you some. The other sponsor is Castifly Outdoor Adventures.
Adventure. That's where it begins. We look to create and document our moments in time while embracing the majestic wonder and beauty of the great outdoors. Our quest is to explore the back roads of the Ozarks, camping, fishing, and just getting lost. Refresh your spirit and join us on our next adventure.
Paul and his crew invite you to subscribe to the Castifly Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. What do you say to those folks, Katie, that are looking for the balance? I know a lot of people, and I've done this myself also. You wrap your identity up in your job, and then it's not there any longer, and you feel lost. And I'm sure a lot of people in the oil and gas business last year that totally got the rug yanked out from underneath them. Oil was, if you remember back in March, I think oil per barrel was like zero, or even a little less than a dollar.
Went into the negative. Yeah.
Went into the negative, and then the COVID virus hit, and in my case, all the events just canceled. They just evaporated, and there was nothing to do. And so I went through the layoff like so many others did. And Yeah. How do you find that balance, or that, so that if something like that does happen, how do you recover?
I think that a lot of people last year came to the realization that it's when you're when it's all about work and then that's taken from you, your identity is taken from you because you put everything you are into that and you didn't spend time with the other areas of your personality, whether it's family, friends, hobbies. And you know 20 years ago, I remember when I was starting in this industry, I had a older gentleman, who, few years from retirement, been with a producer for his entire career. Worked. I mean, the guy was great, great work ethic, worked hard, did some great things. And I remember him telling me as he was approaching retirement that uh, the company just kind of worked him out of the company, and all the people that he thought were his friends at work, whether it was vendors or coworkers or employees, they were gone. And I remember the day that he retired, and about a month into his retirement, he said he was lost because he thought those people would still be a part of his life, even though he wasn't at the producer anymore, and they were gone. And he had sacrificed his relationships with his friends, his wife, his kids, his hobbies. He was really at a loss, and he felt alone, and he felt all that sacrifice he made wasn't really worth it. And so when I started early this year, I started reflecting on that message and that advice that he was trying to give me when I was so young. But at that time, when you're that young and you have ambition and goals, that you're like, yeah, okay. and you follow the same pattern and
Right.
to become something. And you think along the way, I'm doing this to take care of my family. I'm spending all these hours and I'm making this money, and that's the way I'm taking care of my family. But then what happens when you retire and your family doesn't know you and you don't really have any friends outside of work, and what are you left with? And so it's coming to the realization as to what is important in life. Work is important, yes, but what's more important is having those relationships, because those relationships are going to be there whether you're at this company or not.
Like this podcast, this is a hobby of mine. I'm an amateur. I have a few sponsors, which I really appreciate. And but it's been so much fun to explore this medium and to explore this way of communicating and having a show. After being laid off and waiting, I kind of found myself waiting around for someone to say, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Why don't you come back? And then I realized that's never going to happen. So I just started doing
Right.
this and full time and just making something, just making something. So it was a hobby, but it really it didn't save my life, but it probably saved my sanity and my wife's sanity. And I've met a tremendous amount of people along the way, people I wouldn't have never met, so I totally agree.
It's another type of fulfillment, right? And I think people in their ambitions lose sight of that. And so if I could offer any sort of encouragement, is not to be afraid to have that and have that for yourself and your own sanity. And because you don't know, work changes. I mean, something like COVID could hit again and you might not have that anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I tell my son too, just pace yourself. Don't try to do everything tomorrow. You're going to be doing this for a long time, and just relax, do your deal, walk away, come back tomorrow. do it again, but you also need to be healthy and have other interests, other relationships, friends, hobbies, all the things that you're talking about.
Because those people are going to be there no matter what. No matter where you're at in life. You could be in the lowest lump of your life, those people are going to be there. You can be sick, those people are going to be there. You can't say the same thing about work. And I'm not saying anything bad about hard work,
Right.
because I believe in that. I just think that you've got to have somewhat of a balance, or you're going to have an emptiness.
There's two things there. I hate it when I hear companies say, we're a big family. No, you're not really a family. You're well, except for a family-run business. Yeah, I get that.
No, I see where you're going, but you're right. I've heard that same thing.
Yeah, and it's okay to say, we work together, we're a team, and we do good things, but I have a family over here, and the other thing was, a friend is somebody that you can call on at 3 a.m. and they'll be there. But, do you have a person that you can call at 3 a.m. and they're going to come over or call or take you to the hospital or something,
Right. And therein lies the difference, right? So I just, I came to that realization in my 40s, and I'm glad that everything happened the way it did. Like I said, nothing negative about Automation-X. It's been a great experience, and so now I'm at a different place in life. And someone told me that people go through two lives. Sometimes they stick with one life, sometimes they go through two lives, and maybe this is my second life that I'm hitting into, where I'm finding more of that balance and truly finding out who I am, and it's a growth process. I don't have all the answers, but sometimes, like I said, it's just faith.
Exactly. Do you keep a journal?
I don't keep a journal. I probably should.
Because you've learned a lot over the last however long, 20 years, especially the last 8. And it'd be a shame to lose all that.
I probably should write it down and discuss more, because I think that there's a negative stigma to it. I know with me personally, I saw it as a negative stigma if I were to even talk about having balance, because, that organizations might see that as a negative thing, where, and
weak.
So I think a lot of people avoid even talking, you're weak, or you're not the right fit, or we need somebody more dedicated, and it has nothing to do with dedication. And I think a lot of people don't talk about these things. So after I, posted that, I did receive a lot of private messages. And when I opened up about the reasons why I was making such a change, I had a lot of responses from people in similar circumstances, but it's something that nobody wants to talk about, because I think people are afraid that it would be seen as a negative thing within their organization.
So to all your friends in the oil and gas and other friends, acquaintances in other industries, other businesses, is there some kind of a piece of advice or wisdom that you would give?
Don't be afraid to see another side of life and experience life and what life has to offer. And don't be afraid that it might have that negative stigma. And if you are hardworking and you bring value, work is going to be there. Your family is just as important. Family, friends, your personal interests is important too. And don't neglect you along the way.
So are we going to see you around on LinkedIn still, or?
I'm sure you will.
You're not going to ride off into the sunset and see you, Katie Davis.
No, I'm sure you will. There is no date. I don't know when my last date is. As you know, it's quite a transition for Automation-X as a whole. And so I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible, share as much knowledge as I've gained over the years.
Right.
And so once we have a finalized date, I will announce it. And once I know where that final path is, I will announce that too.
All right. Well, maybe we can have you back on the show and you can give us what the next steps are for Katie Davis.
That would be great. I would love to come on your show.
Oh, and you should be getting your coffee mug in the mail sometime today. It says it should be there today. So
I'll make sure to take a picture of it.
Well, Katie, thanks a lot for being on the show. Thanks for helping out all those years, especially at first when I didn't know what I was doing at all, and you guys were, like I said, very supportive and helpful, and always made working with you guys on Automation-X and all the crew there super awesome. And so wish you all the best. And if people want to reach out to you, get more information, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably through, if they're on LinkedIn, my private message is the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay. All right. So I'll list that down below here on the screen. So, well, man, don't be dropping bombs like that on us again. That was really traumatic.
Well, how long have we known each other? I am the master of dropping bombs.
This is true. We wish you all the best. Good luck in real estate and whatever else or whatever you're doing. All the best to you and yours and to all the folks at Automation-X.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So for Katie Davis, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for joining the Scott Townsend Show. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
The Scott Townsend Show is a Dietzo Man production. For more episodes, visit the Scott Townsend Show YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.